Hey, yeah, I'm a theist, but I found an issue in the Bible. Um, it says that God stopped the sun, so I don't even know how that's possible.
With
Um,
God, all things are possible.
yeah,
What type of theist are you?
Roman Catholic.
You're a Roman Catholic. Okay. Do you want to give me your first name?
Yeah, Xavier.
Xavier. Okay. So are you saying you're doubting Roman Catholicism right now?
Um, um, Christianity in general, because I just don't see a way around this. This is not a Roman Catholic issue. This is a science issue.
Yeah.
Like the
Well,
sun doesn't stop. It, like we go around the sun. Like,
you can you got many choices that you can choose. You can say that, well, this is just literary, figurative type language. And when the text says that the sun stood still in the sky, you're talking about was it the fight of with Jericho?
yep, that's the
Jericho?
one
Yeah,
in the book of Joshua. Yeah, like
yeah.
so the day lasted longer
So they
because
could
God
fight.
stopped the sun,
Yeah.
right? So they could win a battle. But science and but Catholics aren't so big on the Bible. Um, they're not sola scriptura.
Right.
So
They're still big on the Bible, but they're also
right,
big on the church.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Um, I guess there's some room to say, okay, this story didn't really happen, as said. Like it's just I don't know, an exaggeration or literary issue. But like, how does this disprove that there's a God? Can you even disprove that there is a God? Like, let's just say the Bible is wrong. Can
Uh,
you disprove God?
yeah, the way you would disprove a God is you would need a very specific definition of the God first. So, for example, if you define, let me know if I'm wrong, but I think you and the Catholic Church would define God as all loving, all knowing, all powerful,
Yep,
creator, has free will, personal.
all of that.
Yeah, so I think I'm not straw manning. I think I've represented the basics of this God, but I think you can show with the real problem of evil that this God is contradictory and thus doesn't exist. So here's how it's done. And I'll do it in question form. Is the God you believe in okay with sin? Does it
Oh, he
want
allow
even the
he
slightest
allows
amount of
it.
sin? But if this God
Um,
had a choice between sin or no sin, what would this God choose?
he chose to allow sin to exist.
I know, but listen to my question carefully. If this God that you believe in had a choice between sin or no sin, what would he choose?
Ooh, this hurts.
This hurts, I know.
Um,
Because the
I
answer,
can tell you, he chose sin. He chose sin. Yeah.
see, and that's contradictory to your God. Because your God is part of being all good. And if sin is the opposite of good, or at least the deprivation, the privation of good, then he would not want sin. He would not even allow sin because he does not want anything to do with sin because he is all good. This is why people can't go to heaven, right? Because they're sinful.
Right.
But yet he
Yeah.
created a world out of his own free will that he knew with 100% certainty would lead to something that he does not stand, cannot stand, does not want. There's a contradiction for you.
Hmm. I've never heard it this way.
Yeah, and apologists won't even they won't even clip this and talk about it because it's pretty much a slam dunk.
Hmm. Yeah. I've
They,
always heard that.
they'll always talk about the evidential problem for evil, but they won't talk about this problem of evil.
Yeah. No, that's right. Um, yeah, I listen a lot to Catholic apologetics, live call-in shows from an organization called Catholic Answers. Um, and they always just say, there's no logical contradiction, but like that evil can exist and God. But the way you're putting it, he wouldn't allow it, period. He could, but he wouldn't.
Here's a second way to put it. Unless you're you're a Roman Catholic, so that means you're probably not Calvinist leaning. But it's another way to put it is: does God want anyone to go to hell, or does God want everybody to come to heaven?
He wants everyone to come to heaven to be with him.
Yeah. So why create a world where he knew that for sure would not happen? That people would freely choose to reject him. I shouldn't say the word contradictory, but that's definitely a tension, right?
There's definitely a tension, yeah.
If God really, really, really didn't want anyone to perish, he would never have created. So there's a part of him that did want people to perish because he saw it coming, that people would freely choose to reject, and said, I'm going to do it anyhow. Because that part of me really does want them to perish.
Wow.
So what we'll do now... What we'll do now is, after the show, I'll get your name and number, and then I'll send you your atheist placard, and you'll get a $20 gift card to Applebee's.
Yeah. No, I just, from the whole sun problem, that's a scientific issue. I don't think that leads to atheism. You just say, oh, the Bible doesn't know about science, but it can be right
True.
about God.
You're right there. Yep. But then you have to, it doesn't lead you to atheism, but it definitely puts pressure on the God of the universe saying things that are not true, or inspiring men to say things that are not true.
Sure. But maybe there is an evil God that
could be.
transcends religion and and doesn't care about evil. You know what? Just let it live. Just let it be. How can you just prove that?
You can't. It's really difficult. Like, the most reasonable God to believe in is the God that's partly good and partly evil, that is partly caring, partly not, that is basically like us. That's the most reasonable God to believe in. But that has enough power to create the universe, but not powerful enough to stop rape or something when he wants. I mean, it's... Yeah.
Sounds silly.
It sounds silly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But you look at the world around us, what do you see? You see people doing great things to each other, helping each other, and you also see horrendous things happening. This God would have seen this if it can see the future, or at least predict it. Maybe this God's like that. He wants a little bit of evil. He wants a little bit of good.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Romans 9-11 says that where the clay, he's the potter. Some people, were made for destruction, so that he can be glorified.
That's a hard pill to swallow, isn't it?
Yeah, God has to allow evil so that he could overcome evil. That's allowed in Catholic theology, but
that's like you saying, Xavier, that you want to get cancer so you can cure it. I mean,
yeah,
it's silly.
Yeah.
So my advice to you is take your time. Don't leave the Catholic Church just yet. Go talk to Trent Horn. Tell him that Doug sent you from PineCreek and that you're doubting, and he'll fix you right up.
Yeah. It's like, the way you put it, they've never really answered it that way. It's like they're answering an objection that no one's raising. Like, it's not possible for God to exist with evil. Well, okay, that makes sense, but just why would he allow it at all?
Yeah, it's the question of, it's actually one of the most famous questions in Islam too, is why did God create? It's a puzzling question. If this God exists, all knowing, all powerful, all loving, all just, why create? It seems...
Shouldn't you believe, just in case, like, maybe he is evil. Maybe, because, like Noah's flood, he drowned babies and pregnant women. I asked the church, and they're like, no, he can give and take life. Like, shouldn't you believe just in case he is evil, and so you can go to heaven, and your kids can go to heaven, if you have kids?
Yeah, well, you can ask that question about other gods that you and I would agree don't exist, but other people believe exist. And what if they're right? What if you're going to hell for being a Catholic and I'm going to hell for being an atheist, and some other religion is right and only they go to heaven? What if the atheists are right and there is no God, but we don't believe there's a God, but there actually is a God who will reward people who realize the evidence is not sufficient, and that's horrible evidence to believe in this God, and he actually does exist, but rewards those who have figured it out not to believe in him because of the lack of evidence, sufficient evidence. And so every religious person, every theist on the planet will end up in hell except for the atheists, and they go to their paradise, whatever that means. Like you can ask, so this whole Pascal's wager thing, you can, I mean, it's also ridiculous. There's no good reason to think there's any afterlife to begin with, right?
Through divine revelation, you know, like, you know, if God has spoken through the church, and has revealed the mysteries of the universe, it basically, if it cannot be,
do you still believe that?
I still do. Even with the problems in the Bible.
Okay, why do you believe that? Why do you believe that the Bible has anything to do with a creator God?
I've always just been raised to believe it. The resurrection.
Okay, but the resurrection is found within the Bible. So your first answer was because you were raised to believe it. Are we agreed that's a horrible reason to believe something is true?
Yeah.
Because especially when it comes to religions, most people who are religious were raised to believe what they believe. Not all, but most. Yeah. So let's throw that away. And the second thing you said is the resurrection. Do you believe a man rose from the dead 2,000 years ago?
Yeah, the evidence seems pretty compelling.
Have you ever heard My Flying Man?
No.
Okay, well, you'll love this. I'll keep it short and concise. You and I are walking in a forest and we stumble on something in the ground. We do a little digging and we find this old book. Okay, you with me? I heard some beeping. Is that the police pulling you over? And we open the book to one page, just random page, and it says that a man could actually fly, literally fly, unaided, just fly. Would you believe it? It says it in a book.
No, that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. It sounds ridiculous. And then we flip the page and it says this man claimed to be God, said he was God, and that's how he could fly. Do you believe it now?
No, it's just a claim. The way you're putting it, it's just a claim.
Right. And now we start reading more of the book, and it actually has 4 chapters. Each chapter is about a guy who says in the third person things that Jesus did. Things that the flying man did. And he did a whole bunch of miracles, claimed to be God, did miracles, and then flew for your sins, and then flew up into heaven and was gone. Would you believe it now?
It sounds familiar.
And in fact, we do some other reading and it says, upon this rock, I will build my flying man church. And a whole tradition started, a whole church started that's now 2,000 years old. Would you believe this man actually could fly?
Why only 2,000 though? Like, why can't it just exist from from the beginning?
You pick the number. It doesn't matter. Would you believe that this man could actually fly?
No, it's just no. We don't see flying men.
Congratulations! You've just now said the evidence for the resurrection is no good.
I guess so.
It's great talking to you, Xavier.
Have a good one. Fine.
Think about it. Call back next week or the week after.
Sure.
Take care.
Bye.